I wasn't planning on doing a Kirby video anytime soon, but since an old favorite among the series is coming to the Nintendo Switch, I figured why not talk about it. Kirby's Return to Dreamland, originally a game for the Wii. I don't know why they chose to port this game in particular other than the fact that, well, it's good. But hey, more Kirby is always welcome.
So development of this game started as far back as the Nintendo GameCube era. In the year 2000, development for this game started after the release of Kirby 64. Nintendo wanted a new Kirby game for their new console, the Nintendo GameCube. During its development, there were 3 proposed concepts of the game. The first being a game similar to Kirby 64 but with updated graphics. The second being a 3D game with open world style gameplay. Well, I don't know about an open world game, but a 3D Kirby game sounds like something we wanted for a long time. And the third was a traditional Kirby game but with a pop-up book art style. In 2005, a trailer for a new Kirby game was released with not a lot of details for the game. Unfortunately, no new information of this game was given the following years, leaving fans believing that the game was cancelled. In 2010, Kirby would finally make his return to home consoles with Kirby's Epic Yarn. And while the game was well received, it just wasn't the traditional Kirby game that fans wanted. Yours truly loved it personally. But in 2011, the game announced for 2005 would later resurface as a new title, Kirby's Return to Dreamland for the Nintendo Wii. Now I remember enjoying this game, but admittedly I stopped playing it after a while. Maybe because there were so many other titles out there at the time that caught my attention. I played this game again years later with my younger brother who was a huge Kirby fan, and we got pretty far. I don't remember if we beat it though. Way over a decade later, in an unforeseen move however, the game was announced for a remake for the Nintendo Switch during a Nintendo Direct on September 13, 2022. At first I didn't know what to think of the new art style, but over time it grew on me. Looking back at the original game, I can see why they wanted to update the graphics.
But yeah, Kirby's Return to Dreamland has finally made its way to the Switch. Now I will be talking about both the original Wii version and the Nintendo Switch version. And just to let you guys know, they're both the same games. Yes, the Nintendo Switch version has more additions and features and even a story added to it, but hey, this is my overall experience on the game as a whole. Whether it's the Wii version, the Switch version, they're both great games. They're both the same games. Alright?
So the plot begins on a sunny day with Kirby who's holding a strawberry cheesecake being chased by Dedede and Waddle Dee with a bandana. Also known as Bandana Dee by fans. Meta Knight reading a book wants nothing to do with their shenanigans. When all of a sudden a mysterious spaceship crash lands on Popstar, leaving Kirby and his friends curious enough to investigate. They meet the ship's owner Megalore, who loses 5 important pieces of his ship along with energy spheres that are scattered across the galaxy. At first, Megalore despairs until Kirby and his friends take it upon themselves to find all the pieces to help Megalore get back to where he came from. And so their adventure begins. Kirby's Return to Dreamland is a 2D side-scrolling platformer that returns to Kirby's roots. While not the first game to feature multiplayer, that honor goes to Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. The game features drop-in and drop-out co-op with different playable characters. Bandana Waddle Dee, also known as Bandana Dee, Meta Knight, and the reluctant Keen Dedede. Since Kirby's the main character, naturally he's the only one that can suck up enemies and obtain their powers. Now if you've never played Kirby's Return to Dreamland before but have played previous Kirby games, this is more of the same. You go through different worlds with their own theme, with each stage behind doors, and the world boss behind the final door. While you can travel from point A to point B in typical Kirby fashion, your main objective is to find hidden energy spheres. While some can be found right in the open, others are either hidden or really tricky to get. In fact, several of them will require a specific power-up to reach them. The other main collectible are the different pieces of Megalore's ship, which can be obtained by defeating each of the world's bosses. Most of Kirby's power-ups make a return in addition to some new ones. There's Water Kirby, Leaf Kirby, Spear Kirby, and my personal favorite of the 4, Whip Kirby. Whip Kirby can perform long-range attacks and reach items in difficult spaces. He's also great for relentlessly whipping out bosses. All if not most of your favorite copy abilities make a return in this game, including Sleep. Yeah, that's still a thing. The new deluxe version sees brand new copy abilities. My favorite is the mecha power-up. You fly like a mech, shoot fireballs, and shoot out a huge laser when charging your attack. How cool is that? There's Sand Kirby, which was okay, but I didn't get much use out of it. Though apparently the design is being compared to that of Dio from JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. So there's that. And returning from Star Allies is Festival Kirby. Alright, that was cool. In addition to regular copy abilities, you'll occasionally run into a glowing enemy where once you suck it up, it gives Kirby a super ability. These temporary but crazy powerful moves grants Kirby the ability to use a super move that can destroy environments and inflict major damage on enemies. They range from a giant sword, a flaming dragon, an expanding hammer, a flare beam that makes music, and a giant friggin' snowball. At the end of these sections, you gain access to a portal where you're taken to a different dimension being chased by some strange force, eventually leading you to a fight with these strange creatures that hold two energy spheres. Naturally, Kirby's the best character to play as since he's the only one that can use these power-ups. But the other characters can be fun to play as too. I got great use out of Waddle Dee's spear and Meta Knight's sword. These two are very fast and energetic to use. Bandana D is best Waddle Dee, and while DDD is slow, he's definitely no slouch. His hammer comes in handy and is great for melee attacks. He also makes a good riding buddy too. Any one of Kirby's allies can die, but if Kirby dies, that's when you have to try again. However, in the Switch version, if you fall down a pit, Megalore saves you from death, which I would say should take the weight off of Kirby's epic yarn for being criticized for not being able to die, While personally I prefer a single player platformer, I'm not gonna lie, the multiplayer was actually pretty fun. Shout out to my best buddy Matt, who usually says he's not great at platformers but loves Kirby and had a great time recording this with me. I don't recall if the Wii version had online, but I definitely know the Switch version does. I haven't been able to test it out myself, but maybe one day. Although one thing Kirby and his friends can grab onto are these special objects that give you good temporary use. There's a cannon that shoots out fireworks, a candle that lights up areas in dark caves, a crystal that makes you invisible, a bomb that grows over time before it explodes, a horn that shoots a colorful rainbow water that mostly protects you from taking damage, and a stomping boot with spikes which acts as the Karibo shoe from Mario 3. In terms of how it feels, Kirby's Return to Dreamland I would say captures that high action of Kirby's Adventure and Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, but also has that high energy and combat oriented feel of Smash. It gave me that feeling of playing the Subspace Emissary from Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Am I the only one that felt that way? Cause it definitely showed in a lot of its levels. This is definitely one of the more spectacle Kirby games as there are a lot of areas that feel automated. Whether it be long segments of riding the Warp Star or shooting out of cannons, it's a Kirby game complete with eye candy. Graphically, Kirby's Return to Dreamland for the Wii looks great, especially for the time. It's natural for a Kirby game to look this good, since his games usually release at the end of a console's life cycle, but definitely one of the best looking Wii games. The Switch version, however, has seen a major graphical overhaul. It goes for a more cartoonish pop-up book style with outlines, which I can definitely appreciate. I especially love King Dedede's new design. He looks so cute and adorable, as penguins should. I'll be honest, while the Wii version looks good, I never really paid much attention to the background. In fact, the level design, while nice to look at, looks pretty flat. The Switch version looks gorgeous. This is not just a one-on-one remake, no, they added more detail to the background of the Switch version, and on the foreground too. Thanks to the new art style, everything pops out more. Probably the most beautiful looking Kirby game and one of the best looking games on Switch as well. Also, we finally have a Kirby game on Switch that runs at a full 60 FPS. In terms of its controls, both versions play very well. I always expect no less of a Kirby game to feel comfortable in its controls. I know some people aren't crazy about motion controls in video games, particularly for the Wii, but I didn't find them egregious in the original Wii version. In fact, they use less motion controls than most games on the Wii. But yes, I do prefer the controls on the Switch version, well at least if you're playing on a Pro controller. I did try playing this game with the Joy-Cons, but I don't know, I just prefer using a regular controller. The Switch version thankfully doesn't use a lot of motion controls, like when you're running for example. In the Wii version you needed to double tap, whereas in the Switch version you could just do a quick flick. Both versions control well, but the Switch version is definitely an improvement. The soundtrack is fantastic, easily one of my favorites in the series. I think my favorite pieces is the boss music, stage 4 of World 3, and the music for the super abilities among others. Warning, if you guys don't like spoilers for this 11-year-old game, then I suggest that you skip to this time frame of the video. You have been warned. So after finding all the pieces of the ship, it turns out that Magolor was the real antagonist this entire time and steals the Master Crown, transforming him into a sinister overlord, with our little dragon foes helping Kirby and the gang chase after him. The final stage is a Gradius style level, before fighting Magolor and his ship, and then you finally face off in one final epic showdown with Magolor himself. Spoilers done. The deluxe version of the game introduces Magolor's epilogue, taking place after the end of the main game. No spoilers here. All I can say is I really feel sorry for the guy. Both the Wii and Switch version has many games that you could play with friends, but the Switch version adds a cute and adorable little carnival area called Merry Magoland. Here, you can visit many different carnival themed attractions. Magolor has a stamp rally where if you play enough attractions you can earn stamps to collect many different useful items. He also gives you souvenirs in the forms of masks. Each mask has a different face from the Kirby franchise. The minigames themselves are a blast to play, and some of them are even remakes from past Kirby games. If you love Kirby 64, there's definitely some fan service here. Heck, Adeline has her own mask. You can wear any of these masks either here or during the main storyline. Kirby's Return to Dreamland is another great entry in the Kirby franchise. While the game itself doesn't do anything new, it's more of a return to form Kirby game after Epic Yarn didn't deliver on what the fans wanted. Still, Epic Yarn's a great game, go play it. But it's definitely a fun time whether you're playing by yourself or with friends. It's fun, prettier, spectacle, and full of pizzazz. I'd highly recommend this game whether it's on the Nintendo Wii or on the Switch. I'm sure there's some mom and pop stores where you can find the Wii version, but you're not missing much if you skip out on that version and go for the Switch version. I mean, the Switch version has nearly everything that made the Wii version great.
Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more videos to come. I will see you guys later. Peace. Oh, these? I got this from a place called Lunchbox. Pretty adorable, right? I mean, you can never have more Kirby in your collection, am I right?